Chapter 531, Palpitated Small Heart. Blue Star Villa Complex. Several black Mercedes-Benz slowly stopped at the main gate post. After filling up the registration, the security guards allowed them to enter the complex. On the balcony of the third floor of the villa number 11, Yang Lu sat there while holding a cup of red wine and a large cigar, with two young, beautiful blondes cuddling with him. "Dear babes, if you serve this young master well tonight, I'll support the two of you with gold, silver and everything, so you'll have a good life." Yang Lu blew out smoke from his mouth while coiling his hand around one of the blondes and kissing her white and delicate face. "Darling, I'll definitely serve you." The blonde intentionally revealed a shy yet charming look, yet she spoke very boldly. Yang Lu was quite excited. As he was ready to satisfy his craving, suddenly, his ears pricked and he looked toward the nearby road under the streetlights. He immediately furrowed his brows when he saw several black Mercedes-Benz slowly heading in this direction. Some bigwigs are coming. Looking at the convoy, Yang Lu could tell what kind of people they were. Yet, he was also very curious, who would come so late at night with such a grand pageantry? When the convoy drove past Villa number 11 and eventually stopped at the Villa number 9, Yang Lu couldn't help rolling his eyes. Although he could tell that Tang Xiu's identity was far from ordinary, he didn't expect that such a show of force would come looking for him. Don't tell me that guy surnamed Tang is a blackheart chap? What kind of bigwig did he annoy that they come so overbearingly to pick on him? Yang Li's mind was immediately filled with dark thoughts. The several Mercedes-Benz stopped in front of Villa number 9. A middle-aged man wearing a black suit and dark glasses then came out of the car, while several middle-aged men opened the doors of the three cars in the middle. That's on the balcony of the third floor of Villa number 11. Yang Li's eyes stared wide when he saw the person who got off the car in the middle, as a shocked expression then appeared on his face. Situ Chao. It turns out to be the son of the head of Situ family, Situ Boyang, who has gradually taken over the Situ family. He'll soon become the patriarch, no? How could he be here? Yang Lu gulped and sent the two pretty blondes to his bedroom. Then, he saw two other figures coming out from the other two Mercedes-Benz. Heaven! Am I dreaming? The Jin Men family's head, Jin Men Tian, and the head of the Li family, Li Yuan? How could these affluent old geezers from the occult sect come here in person? Could it be that they came to find Tang Xiu? Despite possessing unusual identity himself, Yang Li's eyes almost popped out and he felt his legs become somewhat weak after seeing the trio. It was because he was perfectly aware how terrible and terrifying was the power held by these three people added up together. This isn't right. They wouldn't need to bring out such a large convoy if they came looking for Tang Xiu, right? But, don't tell me that my guess before was right, that they are here to find Tang Xiu and deal with him? Thinking up to there, Yang Lu immediately took out his mobile and dialed Tang Xiu's cell number. After his call got connected, he spoke rapidly. "Tang Xiu, where are you now?" "Outside, is there something?" Tang Xiu's voice answered from the mobile phone. "If you're outside, make sure you don't come back now." "What the hell did you do? How did you provoke those three, the Situ, Jin Men, and Li families at the same time? These three families can shroud half the sky of the entire forces belonging to the occult sect. Just listen to me, get your ass out of this place fast. You had better hide in a faraway place and never come back here." On the third floor of the everlasting feast hall, Tang Xiu's expression was strange, for he didn't expect that Yang Lu would call and warn him. He misunderstood the situation. A smile appeared on Tang Xiu's face as he replied, "You want to acknowledge me as your master, right? Then, I'll have the price for you. Make money well, I'll be waiting for your 5 billion yuan and then I'll accept you as a disciple." After saying that, he directly hung up the phone. Yang Lu was stunned. He never expected that Tang Xiu would not only ignore his advice, he even mentioned the matter of acknowledging him as his master. What the hell is going on? How could the script go this way? Could it be that he didn't realize that he did this out of good intention? After thinking for a moment, Yang Lu decided to go to the villa number 9 personally. Even if Tang Xiu did provoke those 3 parties, he himself hailed from the thief branch of the occult sect, after all. They wouldn't make things difficult for him out of respect for his deceased master. Perhaps he could also help Tang Xiu by saying good words about him. A few minutes later, Yang Lu had neatly dressed himself up and appeared outside the front gate of villa number 9. There, he was stopped by 4 stalwart men, as one of them questioned him coldly, "Who are you?" "I live in villa number 11, the neighbor of the owner of this villa," answered Yang Lu. "What business do you have here?" "If it's all right with you, I ask you to leave," said the big man. Yang Lu raised his hand and quickly made several hand signals. He then waltzed in and walked straight into the living room amid the stalwart men's changed expressions. His complexion immediately turned blank and vacant as he saw that Tang Xiu's 2 housemaids were currently serving tea to Situ Chao, Jin Men Tian, and Li Yuan. Oh, goodness. The offspring of the thief branch unexpectedly showed up here. "I'm not seeing things, am I?" Situ Chao smilingly said after he saw Yang Lu. Yang Lu stepped forward and smilingly said, "You're cracking a joke, Uncle Chao. I just saw you, 3 seniors, came to my neighbor's house, so I came over to pay my respects to you. Anyhow, you seniors are here because you and Grandmaster Tang are neighbors?" asked Situ Chao, surprised. Grandmaster Tang? Yang Lu was unable to make heads or tails about this remark, as he then blankly asked, "Uncle Chao, this Grandmaster you're referring to is Tang Xiu?"
"Yeah,"
said Situ Chao. With lips twitching, Yang Lu tried to digest the name and address before he eventually said, "I'm living in the villa number 11 next door, so I'm indeed Tang. Grandmaster Tang's neighbor, and our relationship isn't bad." At this moment, Yang Li's heart almost collapsed. He originally thought that Situ Chao's group came to make trouble for Tang Xiu, and he even called Tang Xiu to remind him out of good intention, yet he got ignored and was told to not bother about it. It turned out that he was the one who misunderstood it. Situ Chao didn't come to create trouble for Tang Xiu at all. It could be said that they came to pay a visit. That was really shameful. Situ Chao slowly nodded, "Yang Lu, we came to find Grandmaster Tang. He's having dinner with his friend outside and can't come back home now, so we're here waiting for him. Since you have seen us now, you go back first if you have nothing else to say. Uncle Chao, Grandpa Jinmen, Grandpa Li, if you feel that it's all right with you, how about you all visit my place while Tang Grandmaster Tang hasn't come back?" His words suddenly came to an abrupt halt. He suddenly remembered about the 2 foreign blondes in his house. If they were seen by them, then he would be in for a great shame and disgrace. "No need, we'll be waiting here for him. You can go attend to your things." Situ Chao waved his hand and refused. Yes. "Then I'll no longer disturb you," said Yan Lu quickly. "But if there is something you seniors need, then send someone to the villa next door to call me. I'll be here at once." He then left the living room immediately after saying that. With eyes following Yang Li's departing back, Jin Men Tian shook his head and smiled. It's a happy occasion for the thief branch to have such an outstanding junior in the latest generation remaining. It's a pity that old bastard, San Jisho, didn't have a good fate. The remaining few of the thief branch are kind of disappointing. They didn't hesitate to lose all decorum with each other just to get their hands on the treasures left by San Jisho, causing the entire sect to split apart. It's really a pity that the thief branch's command was lost. If they were to give it to this Yang Lu, maybe he can rebuild the thief branch back to their feet again. "Uncle Jin Men, you forgot something." Situ Chao chuckled. The command of the thief branch is actually in his hands, but he was disheartened at his fellow disciples in the thief branch. Not only did he break contact with them, he also fooled around abroad all the year round. I never expected that he had actually returned home and is even living here. Is he really willing to give up everything? Jin Mentian was surprised. Will the thief branch's legacy and inheritance be cut off just like that? No, as long as someone from the thief branch is still alive, their legacy and inheritance will never be cut off. Situ Chao shook his head. Though I think it's better for the thief branch to not be rebuilt, given their morality and conduct. Otherwise, judging from the disposition of Yang Li's eldest senior brother, I'm afraid that Yang Li will be killed by him sooner or later. True that. Jin Mentian nodded. 10 in the evening, Tang Shou escorted Han Qinggu back to her place. He had to assure her over and over that he would take her to the South China Sea and to have a vacation together in the next few days. Then, he hurried back to Blue Star Villa complex and was blocked by Yang Lu outside the front gate of Villa number 11, before he arrived at his home. You really are amazing, Grandmaster Tang. Yang Lu leaned on the gate of his villa as he looked at Tang Shou, grinning and smiling. Tang Shou rolled his eyes at him and snappily said, "If you want to fart then burst it out fast. Just spit it out. Don't use that disgusting accent and tone to incite me with no purpose." Those three big families of the occult sect, the Situ, Jinmen, and Li families unexpectedly came here just to visit you. Yang Lu grinned. Anyhow, I'm curious. What means did you use to swindle and deceive them? Can you tell me why they were so respectful when they mentioned you? Swindling and deceiving, eh? Tang Shou laughed. That's not quite the appropriate words to use, to be honest. I think the correct words should be true skills and genuine knowledge. Otherwise, do you think those big shots from the occult sect are nothing but fools? Thinking for a moment, Yang Li then nodded and said, "True that, but you haven't answered me. Who the heck are you?" I told you before, didn't I? Tang Shou smiled. I'm nothing but a student. With an annoyed and exasperated expression, Yang Li said, I'll investigate you myself if you don't tell me. You know that I'm very good at investigating. Then do it. Tang Shou shot a teasing and playful smile at him as he strode toward his villa. Chapter 532, Serious Accident. The faint fragrance of tea pervaded the air, as a hoary laugh filled the air. Jin Mentian's carefree laugh was the sound Tang Shou heard when he strode inside the villa. Everyone, I apologize for having you wait for such a long time, said Tang Shou smilingly as he walked toward the three people. The first one to stand up was Situ Chao, as he smilingly said, You're too polite, Grandmaster Tang. It's us who are impolite for coming this late to disturb you. Please don't call me Grandmaster Tang. Just straightly call me by my name. Anyways, please wait a bit, I'll bring your items. A few minutes later, Tang Shou, who pretended to go pick the items upstairs, came back carrying 3 black leather suitcases and handed them to the 3 people. He then smiled and said, Please check them out. The trio exchanged looks and opened the leather suitcases individually. After inspection, they closed the suitcases with satisfied expressions. Jin Mentian then smiled and opened up the conversation, Tang Shou. These evil-repelling talismans will play important roles for the exploration of the ancient tomb in the future. Needless to say, we are really grateful for them. Also, do remember to contact me if you ever have a chance to visit the Northwest region in the future. Tang Shou, my Li family hails from the Miao region. If you ever visit that area, do remember to call me as well, echoed Li Yuan. Then I must thank the 2 seniors in advance, Tang Shou laughed. Maybe I'll really disturb you later. After some pleasantries were exchanged, Tang Shou sent the trio off. As the villa turned quiet, Tang Shou silently calculated the funds he had in hands at present. The amount now was 65 billion yuan, and he was thinking of investing the money considering its colossal amount. Following that, he picked up his mobile phone and dialed Jin Xingkui's cell number. You finally called me, Brother Tang. I've been looking forward to receiving good news from you about the architectural design. Jin Shinkue's voice came from the phone. Old brother Jin, I have some time tomorrow, can we meet in the morning? Also, besides our current project, I have another project which I hope we can cooperate as well. Another project? Would you mind disclosing it in advance, brother Tang? It's just so that I can prepare myself earlier, said Jin Shinkue, surprised. I'm planning to relocate the HQ of the magnificent Tang Corporation to Shanghai. It would be for the best if we can find a site for our edifice, but if we can't, we will probably invest a large amount of capital to construct one. Jin Shinkue was startled. I understand, brother Tang. Let's discuss this issue tomorrow morning. All right. Tang Xiu replied and hung up the phone after appointing the meeting place with Jin Shinkue. Ring, ring, ring. Just as he hung up the phone, his mobile buzzed again. He took the phone and saw that it was a call from Long Zhengyu. Right as he was about to answer it, his expression slightly moved, and said indifferently, "Come out. Don't sneak around here." You're really amazing, Grandmaster Tang. I thought that neither gods nor ghosts would be able to sniff me out, yet you were unexpectedly able to find me. Even those three, no one among them was able to notice me. Yang Lu grinned. They may be people from the occult sect, but how can they be compared to the thief branch in concealing and hiding? Anyhow, you should have seen what you wanted to see and heard everything you wanted to know as well. Shouldn't you go back to your own place and sleep or something? I still have things to take care of now. Nope, there are 2 issues I want to ask you, said Yang Lu quickly. Say it, said Tang Xiu lightly. He then came to Tang Xiu's side and curiously asked, Tang Xiu, what business deal did you make with those 3 codgers, exactly? Don't tell me it's as Jin Mentian said, the evil repelling talisman. It's indeed the evil repelling talisman. I'm able to manufacture this talisman, and they're precisely in need of it, said Tang Xiu. Hence, this is simply a business transaction that benefits all of us. For real. Yang Lu was shocked. You're actually able to manufacture evil-repelling talismans? That's really cool. Second question, please, said Tang Xiu. Didn't you want to make a phone call? My second question can wait, said Yang Lu. I'll need to send you off first before making the phone call. Tang Xiu shook his head. Just spit it out. Don't waste my time. Forcing out a smile, Yang Lu then said, all right. I just heard you saying that you want to relocate the magnificent Tang Corporation's HQ to Shanghai. Are you by chance its big boss?
Yeah.
Tang Xiu directly admitted it. I knew it. I already guessed that you're not just a simple layman, Yang Lu raised his thumbs up and praised. But I never thought that you would be this amazing, though. You know, the business of your magnificent Tang Corporation is? Tang Xiu raised his hand to interrupt him and spoke with all seriousness. If you want to praise me, then please shut your mouth, will you? Can you leave now? I still have things I need to deal with. Yang Lu was stumped and stared blankly. He then forced a smile and said, okay, I'm not allowed here, so I'll go now, alright? Geez, you really are a very busy man. Yang Lu left with a resentful face under Tang Xiu's gaze. With his spiritual sense, Tang Xiu also monitored him until he returned to his before he felt slightly relieved. Truth be told, he actually admired Yang Lu for being able to sneak into his villa and conceal himself for a very long time, without Tang Xiu being able to notice him. Zhang Yu, did something happen for you to call me this late? Tang Xiu called Long Zhengyu back and straightly asked. Tang Xiu, there was a major landslide in our Walled Hill Village project. 12 people died, and 20 more are missing, said Long Zhengyu rapidly. What's going on? Asked Tang Xiu, his complexion changed. Do you remember me telling you about this before? Long Zhengyu bitterly said. There was a landslide problem in Walled Hill Village, Yet I didn't take it seriously that time because it was nothing but a small accident. I thought that ancient tomb was abandoned, so it would be fine to level it with soil. Who would have thought that the space below it was so large? I suspect that the empty tomb is only a camouflage, while the genuine ancient tomb is right underneath it. So to say, you think that the landslide was caused by the existence of the ancient tomb? Asked Tang Xiu, surprised.
Yeah.
The ancient tomb is surely the very cause for it, answered Long Zhengyu. Tang Xiu was silent for a short while and then seriously said, how did you deal with the aftermath? I've reported the accident to the police. The firefighters are currently doing the search and rescue operation for the missing workers. Also, the project is completely on hold, and I'm afraid it will be delayed for some time. Remember, saving the workers comes first. Tang Xiu said in a deep voice. I'll immediately head to Star City, and then we'll talk about everything else after we meet. Got it. Long Zhengyu quickly replied. Tang Xiu went to the second floor. He picked several pieces of cloth and stuffed them into his interspatial ring. After feeding the fierce beast in the study room, he then quickly left the villa. However, just as he had walked a few steps, he suddenly remembered something and shouted when he was passing by villa number 11, Yang Lu, come out. Quickly after, Yang Lu appeared in Tang Xiu's line of sight with a sweating, naked upper body. What is it? You hail from the thief branch, but it's still the lineage of the occult sect. Hence, you should have explored ancient tombs before, right? Asked Tang Xiu. Grandmaster Tang, are you trying to make fun of me again? Yan Lu chuckled. What we from the thief branch do is look for dragon veins. We are experts in digging and robbing graves, as well as searching treasures. I'm not particularly talented on this field, though. I'm 26 years old this year, but the number of ancient tombs I have explored mustn't be more than 3 digits. That reminds me of something. The gold, silver, and jewelry from my black past that you got from me are the ones I obtained in some ancient tombs. In that case, then have a trip with me. Tang Xiu nodded. Where to? Yang Lu looked doubtful. To Star City, Shuangqing Province, said Tang Xiu. It couldn't be. You found an ancient tomb in Star City? Asked Yang Lu, surprised and astonished.
Yeah.
There's an ancient tomb there. Moreover, it's right underneath the construction site of my project, said Tang Xiu. A landslide happened there, apparently caused by it, killing many people and with many more missing. Accompany me there and we'll have a look at the situation. Yang Lu didn't answer and stayed silent for a moment. Then, he asked, how will we divide the treasures we find there? 90% for me, 10% for you. You'll get a discount once we're done as well, said Tang Xiu. Damn you, surnamed Tang. Yang Lu furiously said. Aren't you way too black-hearted? Take it or leave it, said Tang Xiu lightly. Yang Lu was left speechless. As he watched Tang Xiu leave, he hurriedly shouted, don't leave. You're the master, and what you say is not to be questioned, right? Just hold on. Wait a minute, will you? There are 2 pretty beauties in my place. 5 minutes. Gimme time to tell them and pack up my things. Gimme 5 minutes. Remember to take your car as well. A smile was outlined on the corner of Tang Xiu's mouth, as he reminded Yang Lu from behind. Around 4 in the morning, 2 SUVs drove toward Star City. This time, Tang Xiu not only brought Yang Lu with him, but also 4 other experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall. From a long distance away, Tang Xiu could see the site of the fully illuminated Walled Hill Village's construction site. Many fire engines and firefighters had arrived there, trying to save people all night long. Why did you bring me here, Tang Xiu? Asked Yang Lu, who sat on the front seat, with a face full of curiosity. This is the Walled Hill Village, a project that is currently being developed by the Long family of Star City. Because I'll also have some industries here after the construction and development are finished. Hence I'm also responsible for the situation here. That ancient tomb we're about to explore is right underneath the construction site where the landslide happened. So to say, the existence of the ancient tomb caused the landslide? Asked Yang Lu, surprised.
Yeah,
Said Tang Xiu. Quickly after, the two cars were parked and Tang Xiu, Yang Lu, and the four experts quickly dashed inside. Long Zhengyu, who had received a phone call from Tang Xiu, quickly came to gather up with him along with his two trusted men. How is the current situation? Asked Tang Xiu directly. 22 injured and 6 dead, and there are 7 missing left as well. However, I'm afraid that those 7 have little hope of surviving, said Long Zhengyu bitterly. Continue with the search and rescue. We must find all of them, said Tang Xiu resolutely said. Regardless if they're still alive or not, we must still find their bodies. We must never give up, even if there's only a glimmer of hope. Chapter 533, Hercules. Long Zhengyu nodded seriously. I have also instructed them about that. Apart from the hundreds of workers and dozens of firefighters on the site, the police force from the city and dozens of security guards from our Long family are currently doing their best to search and rescue them. You can rest assured, we'll try our best to find the missing workers even if we have to turn over every inch of the land inside out. Then I'll give a hand, too. Tang Xiu patted Long Zhengyu's shoulder and strode toward the construction site. The moment he arrived there, he released his spiritual sense and covered a radius of 200 to 300 square meters within. At present, he found 2 dead bodies and 4 workers who were still alive and stranded inside. However, 2 of them were seriously injured. If they didn't get rescued in time, they would only be able to hold on for several hours before dying. At the same time, Tang Xiu also discovered a stair-shaped cave entrance. Tens of meters underneath it were several portals, yet the interior beyond was off limits to his spiritual sense. An array? Tang Xiu squinted his eyes and dashed toward the rubble. He pointed below and shouted in a deep voice, Zhengyu, immediately order someone to dig this spot. But remember to do it very carefully, some of the trapped workers should be underneath. Long Zhengyu stared blankly before he laid on the ground, trying to listen to the sounds. With a puzzled expression, he said, why can't I hear any voices at all? My hearing is several times sharper than that of an ordinary person's, said Tang Xiu lightly. Pondering for a bit, Long Zhengyu, who held absolute trust toward Tang Xiu, immediately called out to a dozen workers as well as several firefighters to begin excavating the debris above the spot. Slow down. Tang Xiu didn't stay idle. He took a pair of gloves and began to move the reinforced concrete. Even Yang Lu and the 4 experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall joined in the work. 10 minutes later, a worker shouted, Boss, these steel bars are being pressed by a boulder. We won't be able to move it if we don't use a crane. And there's no way we can continue cleaning this place without removing it. Long Zhengyu frowned and looked quite vexed. It was not realistic to call a crane here at this time. The scene here was a mess already, and the crane would make it worse. Make way, I'll move it, said Tang Xiu. Don't fool around. This boulder is at least 400 pounds, there's no way it will budge even if a few men join in an effort to move it. Besides, even if several people move it simultaneously, we still need to clean up the debris in the surrounding. The clearing up will take time, and we may still be unable to move it. The worker said it correctly and Tang Xiu perfectly realized it, too. The environment and situation were precarious, and there was the possibility of a second landslide due to a slight mistake, thus injuring the people above. The boulder wouldn't budge even if 4 burly joined in the effort. However, was he an ordinary person? Tang Xiu directly pushed the worker aside and shouted, Zhengyu, order everyone else to withdraw and give me some empty space. Upon hearing it, Long Zhengyu immediately executed Tang Xiu's instructions. Tang Xiu stood in a deep pit as he looked at the half-buried boulder under his feet. He straightly coiled his hands around the boulder and took a deep breath. What the hell does he want to do? He wants to lift that stone by himself? Is this youngster an idiot? Does he think he's Hercules or something? That's beyond his ability, only biting off more than he can chew. I'll eat that boulder if he can really move it. Oh, how can Chief Long have such a friend? It's really... No one concealed their thoughts. At this time, even Yang Lu himself had a contemptuous look on his face and secretly despised Tang Xiu, thinking that he would only disgrace himself. Even if Tang Xiu was a little skillful, did he really think that his strength was that great? Biting more than you can chew, Yang Lu scoffed inside. Tang Xiu ignored everyone around him, however, and exerted his strength, easily moving the half-buried boulder. Yet, in order not to show it off and scare out the onlookers, he pretended to exert out a tremendous strength to show how difficult it was to move the boulder. Hiss. Yang Li's eyes almost popped out when he saw Tang Xiu move the boulder. Despite his firm mentality, yet he still couldn't help but gasp. The surrounding workers, firefighters, and the rest who had just ridiculed and made derogatory comments were all dumbfounded and left petrified. Only after Tang Xiu threw the boulder out of the pit did they finally snap back to their senses. Heavens! What did I just see? What the hell, is he the Superman? It's a boulder weighing 400 pounds, why yet he actually moved it out by himself? Oh, God. A boulder weighing 400 pounds that dozens of men are not necessarily able to move since it's half buried, yet he can still pull it out? He's simply not human. Terrific. As for Long Zhengyu, he gave Tang Xiu a thumbs up and then loudly shouted, "Don't gawk and daze. Move your ass fast and dig. I can hear some voices underneath. That means we're digging on the right spot. Be careful as to not cause a secondary landslide." Understood. Everyone in the surrounding looked at Tang Xiu with shock and fright, before they loudly exclaimed in unison. Time passed by, and half an hour after, dozens of people worked together and dug down 2 to 3 meters. Finally, the cave entrance underneath was revealed as someone's hand came out. The hand was full of blood, accompanied by the cry, "Save us. Someone's still alive here." A worker called out excitedly. Immediately afterward, everyone worked harder and finally rescued the 2 seriously injured workers from the inside after spending great effort. Tang Xiu even personally acted to treat the 2 people and was able to save their lives despite the limited medical tools. As the medics from the hospital's ambulance took away the 2 seriously injured workers, Long Zhengyu finally had a break as he gave Tang Xiu a thumbs up and said, "Brother Tang, I'm really convinced of your abilities. Since you have such a good hearing ability, how about using it to rescue the other workers stranded below?" "Sure thing." Tang Xiu complied. A few minutes after, he pointed to another spot tens of meters away and shouted, "There's someone underneath. He should be still alive. Some of you get there quickly. Dig down that spot and rescue them." Long Zhengyu was overjoyed and shouted. By now, everyone fully trusted Tang Xiu, and under Long Zhengyu's command, dozens of people began to dig up and finally rescued 2 men after spending half an hour. "Zhengyu, you said that the number of missing people was 7? Tang Xiu had used his spiritual sense to carefully comb every spot and path leading to the crevices and had found 4 men still alive, and 2 who had died. Long Zhengyu nodded, "Yes, it's really 7 people." Tang Xiu's brows wrinkled deeply, because he really couldn't find where the 7th man was. In other words, there were only 2 answers. The first one being an error in counting the missing people, which in fact there were only 6 people buried underneath, and the second one was that the last missing person had been buried under the soil, and there was no slit to the outside at all. Tang Xiu walked around for several minutes and randomly selected several spots for everyone to start digging. One of which was a spot where 2 dead bodies were buried. He also brought Yang Lu to begin digging a spot above the cave entrance to the ancient tomb, while the 2 dead bodies were finally excavated when dawn came. Chief Long. We found him. We found the last one. A middle-aged man who looked like a leader ran into the debris and rubble as he panted and shouted. What do you mean? Long Zhengyu, who was currently leading everyone to look for the 7th missing worker, immediately asked, and upon hearing the middle-aged man's cry. It's the 7th missing man, Li Quan, who has yet to be found, the middle-aged man hurriedly said. He turned out to have ditched his shift and gone outside to drink. He just came back drunk and is now sleeping inside the drainage next to the worker's shack. What a fucking asshole. Long Zhengyu was so furious and angrily cursed. Tang Xiu also heard the middle-aged man's report and let out a forced, wry smile. He walked over to Long Zhengyu's side and said, Zhengyu, tell the cops and the firefighters to leave this place since all the missing people have been found. Also, instruct all the workers to go back and have a rest. Long Zhengyu silently nodded. After tossing back and forth in frustration, the police and firefighters finally left, and the workers withdrew from the site. However, under Tang Xiu's silent instructions, dozens of security guards from the Long group didn't leave, and instead, blocked the landslide area and prohibited anyone from entering. What exactly are you doing, Brother Tang? Long Zhengyu came to Tang Xiu's side as he watched Tang Xiu and Yang Lu, as well as the 4 experts from the Everlasting Feast Hall still, excavating the debris. His expression looked strange and curious as he asked. I suspect that there's an entrance to an ancient tomb underneath. Since it has caused the landslide accident, I'd like to go down and see what type of ancient tomb it is, given that it unexpectedly has a false empty space above it, said Tang Xiu. Startled and taken aback, Long Zhengyu hastily said, Don't do anything stupid, will you? You'll definitely be trapped below in the event of a second landslide. Don't worry. I know what I'm capable of. I will never dare to go down to brave dangers and stake my life without an ability to back it up, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Besides, Yang Lu here is my friend. He has studied a lot of ancient tombs, so you can rest your worries with him accompanying me down there. Doubtful, Long Zhengyu gritted his teeth and said, Then, I'll also go down there with you. You of all people have a more important thing to do rather than following me down there. Tang Xiu shook his head. You must appease and comfort the workers, and then go to the hospital to visit the injured as well as comfort their family members. As for the dead workers, give them a large sum of money as compensation and take good care of their family members. Then, in the case that, Long Zhengyu still hesitated. There will be no ifs. Don't tell me you don't believe in my ability? Tang Xiu waved his hand and rebuked. Long Zhengyu pondered for a moment. To deal with the aftermath of this matter, he indeed must visit the hospital. Therefore, he nodded. But he still urged Tang Xiu to be very careful before leaving the construction site. Chapter 534, Ancient Tombs Teleportation Portal. The huge red glow rose from the eastern horizon and dispersed the cold streams of air in the morning. After continuous digging, the cave entrance to the ancient tomb had finally appeared before everyone. Yang Le evidently possessed profound knowledge on the tomb's architectural structure, as he confirmed that the landslide was caused by this ancient tomb's entrance. Are you sure? Confirmed Tang Xiu with a curious expression. I'm sure. There should be a fake tomb above the genuine one in order to fool the eyes. Steel casting poles should be nailed inside the fake tomb to support the space. At the time when the construction was being carried on above it, it led to the collapse of the fake tomb, and eventually weakened the support of this stair entrance, causing the landslide. With a doubtful expression, Tang Xiu asked, who could have built the tomb here? To think that they also constructed a fake tomb. There are many kinds of ancient tombs, such as a tomb within a tomb, interlinked series of tombs like catacombs, hidden tombs with fake barriers, and so on. This tomb should be the hidden type, because someone didn't want the genuine ancient tomb to be excavated, hence the camouflage. Looking at the width and height of the stairs, however, I'm afraid this ancient tomb is a huge. The deceased entombed inside this ancient tomb was definitely a great personage among the nobility or a member of the royal family. Nobility or royalty? Disdain flashed in Tang Shou's eyes. If it was only a tomb for a member of the royal family, how could an array be arranged to isolate it from the detection of spiritual sense? Anyways, let's go down and have a look. Tang Shou followed the ladder and descended to the bottom. A few minutes later, he brought Yang Lu to the front of the first gate. Hiss. Yang Lu raised his hand to touch the 2 meters high stone gate and couldn't help but gasp. A disbelieving expression was cast on his face. What happened? Tang Shou furrowed his brows. While pointing at the stone gate, Yang Lu stutteringly said, "Be brother. Brother Tang, this stone gate, it's entirely made of diamond." Heavens! I must be dreaming, how could there be such a huge diamond in this world? And, the most important thing is, this stone gate was obviously cast and made by someone. Tang Shou looked at the dragons, phoenixes, and kylons carved on it. The carvings were so lifelike that they seemed like they would come to life at any time. He could understand Yang Li's shock. Carving such patterns on a diamond was not actually difficult, however, this ancient tomb was not made in the current era, but in the past. How did the ancients did it? Moreover, that huge-sized diamond block that was something beyond Yang Li's cognition. Is there a way to open this door? This issue concerned Tang Shou the most, because it would be very difficult to break this door directly with his current strength. Even if he could do it, he wouldn't dare to employ such an attempt in the case that it would lead to another landslide. If such a predicament happened, it would be next to impossible to escape from the situation despite him possessing formidable strength. After Yang Lu calmed himself down, his eyes turned burning hot, as he shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. I need to analyze and study it." Then study it fast. We don't have much time left, urged Tang Shou. Huh? Yang Lu begged to differ, his expression was that of a strange one. Isn't there someone already guarding the outside? There should be plenty of time for us, no? The news of this ancient tomb should have been exposed to the outside, and experts and archaeologists from the State Department will surely catch wind of it and then rush here. What do you think we can get once they arrive? Elaborated Tang Shou with a light tone. Startled, Yang Lu hurriedly said, "You're right, brother Tang. Needless to say, just this gate made of diamond is a must for us to take away." This meant money, like an inexhaustible source of money. As long as we can deal with this door, such a huge windfall will make us rich overnight. Hhoch, what an inexperienced and ignorant guy. Sighing inside, Tang Shou ignored him and studied the stone gate himself. What surprised him was that he found no way to open it, yet Yang Lu was able to open it after studying it for a bit. Tang Shou was unable to do such a feat. How did you do that? Well, that's an inherited secret of mine, a legacy. Sorry, it's not like I can expose it to you. Yang Lu grinned proudly. But if you want to know, I can. His smirk froze. His speech was abruptly stopped by something, as he stared blankly at the stone gate, which was retracted on both sides. He stared at it with eyes almost popping out. "Be brother Tang, pinch me so that I can feel that I'm not dreaming. This gate made of diamond is actually 2 meters thick? In this world, this is, simply, too unfathomably terrifying." Tang Shou shook his head helplessly again. He was really too lazy to even care about this young master who naively commented on so many little things due to his inexperience. He then stepped inside and walked down the stairs again. The second portal was opened by Yang Lu again. Although this gate was not cast from diamond like the previous one and didn't add more shock to Yang Lu, it was Tang Shou's turn to get surprised. It was because the gate was cast from Millennium Black Iron, which hardness far exceeded the first door. What the hell is this door made of? Yang Lu frowned and looked at the third door blocking the path, a look of frustration in his eyes. When he was about to reach out to touch it and see what kind of material it was, Tang Xiu stopped him directly. Don't touch it. Huh? Why? Yang Lu was puzzled. Tang Xiu didn't explain, yet his eyes sparkled as he observed the array pattern on the door. In just a dozen seconds, he was amazed at the fact that 3 types of arrays had been inscribed on this door: the spirit gathering array, an offensive array, and a defensive array respectively. The 3 arrays were inseparably interconnected, mutually complemented each other, and shared the same characteristics to ultimately form a holistic magical array that gathered spiritual force along with defensive and offensive traits. However, Tang Xiu's attainment in arrays had reached the peak. After showing a smile, his fingers unceasingly formed strange seals as an energy infiltrated the array on the gate in a way that couldn't be caught with the naked eyes. Boom. Tremors spread out in the latter space as if indicating a collapse. However, right as Yang Lu and the 4 experts of the Everlasting Feast Hall turned alarmed and terrified, Tang Xiu shouted and the gate in front slowly opened amid falling layers of dust. The 4 of you stay here, and you must not let anyone enter without my orders, Tang Xiu instructed. Understood. The 4 men answered immediately. Tang Xiu strode through the gate. What appeared before him was a spacious hollow great hall. Aside from hundreds of egg-sized bright moon pearls placed on the ceiling of the entire hall, there was only a rectangular platform in the middle. What surprised Tang Xiu the most was that the concentration of spiritual qi in this space was extremely high, about several times higher than the outside. A soft, gentle breath caused the tiny pores all over his body to open, causing a comfortable sensation over his body. It feels comfortable here, said Yang Lu, who closely followed Tang Xiu as he looked around. Tang Xiu then walked to the front of the rectangular platform in the middle. It was 1 meter in height and width and 2 meters long, and was covered with a layer of yellow silk fabric. However, with his keen eyesight, Tang Xiu could tell at a glance that this layer of yellow silk fabric was not ordinary. The silk fabric was as though having a stream of flowing water on it. The misty luster was invisible to the naked eyes, yet he could clearly observe it with his spiritual sense. Tang Xiu affirmed that this silk fabric was at least a magical device. Yang Lu, stand up. Tang Xiu took back his gaze as he looked at Yang Lu and spoke to him in a deep voice. Huh? Stand on this platform? What do you want to do? Yang Lu stunned and asked with a puzzled expression. You'll serve as cannon fodder, of course, said Tang Xiu lightly. I need to figure out the mysterious mechanism here. Yang Lu rolled his eyes and snapped, Say, Tang Xiu, are you not mistaking something? How could this broken platform have any mysterious mechanism at all? After saying that, he contemptibly stepped onto the platform. Buzz. A mysterious aura emitted out from the silk fabric, and the ripples that were originally invisible to the naked eyes also rippled. Amid the eruption of dazzling lights, Yang Li's figure directly disappeared from the platform. Tang Xiu's complexion changed. A firm look appeared on his face as he also stepped on the platform. His figure then disappeared amid the dazzling white light. The next moment, he appeared in a dim empty space. It was very difficult for an ordinary person's eyes to see anything within a few meters. However, with his sharp eyesight, Tang Xiu could see everything within the radius of 100 meters. Where the hell is this? Exactly what's going on here? Yang Lu raised his hand, trying to grab anything around him. He then turned to look at Tang Xiu, who appeared out of thin air in front of him. What upset him the most was that he could barely see Tang Xiu's face, though the distance between them was only a few meters. I don't know either. Tang Xiu replied shortly as he quickly glanced around. The place was dimly illuminated, and there was nothing but a bleak, desolate black land in the surroundings. The most notable thing was that there was no trace of spiritual qi whatsoever, and the low amount of oxygen in the air made it difficult to breathe. With a changed expression, Yang Lu quickly grabbed the backpack he was carrying and took out a night vision goggles from the inside. He put it on and glanced around. A few seconds after, he gaped, disbelief cast all over his face. Seeing Yang Lu made Tang Xiu startled. He quickly took off his night vision goggles. After wearing it himself, his pupils suddenly contracted and his heartbeat raced up. He could clearly see the silhouettes of the mountains that were looming beyond the horizon. There was also a red halo on the mountain-shaped corridor, as if the entire mountain was set afire. And behind it, a sword-shaped object stood towering to the sky therein. Brother. Brother Tang, we didn't bump into ghosts, did we? How am I feeling such a gloomy and ominous atmosphere here? Even breathing is a bit difficult. Yang Li's lips uncontrollably shivered a few times. A terrified look was painted all over his face as he gulped down. No, we didn't bump into ghosts, said Tang Xiu with a deep voice. We were just teleported to a mysterious magical place by a teleportation array. It's very interesting, though. If my inference is correct, then this place is a genuine ancient tomb where someone has been entombed. A teleportation array? Ancient tomb. Yang Lu looked dazed and confused. He muttered with a perplexed and bewildered look. Chapter 535, Colossal Fortuitous Encounter. Tang Xiu didn't bother explaining to Yang Lu because he was perfectly clear that, even if he wasted his energy to elaborate, it would be very difficult for Yang Lu to accept and understand it in a short time. While staring at the big mountain porch, Tang Xiu silently thought for a while before he grabbed Yang Li's arm and sprinted toward that direction. Cough. Hey, slow down. Being dragged by Tang Xiu, Yang Lu could only feel the whistling wind in his ears, and the words he wanted to say were stuck in his throat. Moreover, the speed at which Tang Xiu was sprinting was so fast that it was causing his face to look like he was seeing ghosts. He never thought someone would be able to run at such unimaginable speed. Tang Xiu ignored Yang Lu as he looked at the destination about a kilometer away. After sprinting for more than half an hour, he used his tiptoes to touch the ground and dash lightning fast over the remaining 100 kilometers, before he finally arrived in front of the blazing hot mountain. The blazingly high temperature made Yang Lu sweat heavily, and he might have turned around and fled if not for Tang Xiu grabbing him. Just stand here and wait for me. Putting Yang Lu down, Tang Xiu's eyes were locked at the straight line of ice crystals between the mountains. The ice crystals were like a divide, a demarcation line that cut the entire burning mountain in half. It was very narrow, about 5 meters or so. After he got closer, he could see that the ice crystal line turned out to be an ice ladder exuding a chilling air, and was extremely steep and precipitous. Tang Xiu, come back. Don't go courting death. With a dumbfounded look, Yang Lu watched Tang Xiu appear under the ice ladder. Concern and worry appeared in his expression as he ran forward for 7 or so steps. However, the intense heat was too unbearable to him, forcing him to stop and even made him recede tens of meters. As someone from the occult sect, Yang Lu was naturally aware that there existed phenomenons that were against common sense and science. Yet he never thought that such mysterious, miraculous thing would exist in this world. Since he came to this space, everything he had seen felt so mysterious and unreal. Furthermore, what Tang Xiu had showcased, those magical means he displayed, as well as his lightning-like speed, it shocked him to the point that it was almost impossible to add up again. In particular, Tang Xiu seemed to have long guessed that they would be teleported to this space the moment they stood on that platform. Hence, Yang Lu was extremely curious about who exactly Tang Xiu was. Tap. Suddenly, Yang Li's complexion drastically changed. His eyes turned saucer and almost fell from their sockets. Since Tang Xiu had thrown the night vision goggles to him before he left, Yang Lu could clearly see that Tang Xiu had unexpectedly climbed up at a very fast pace on that ice crystal ladder. Does this blazing temperature have no effect on him? And that ice ladder seems very steep, is he not afraid that he'll slide and fall to his death? At this time, Tang Xiu didn't know what Yang Lu was thinking. He moved his tiptoes unceasingly at a very fast speed, and kept climbing toward the top. His body was constantly being covered with thin ice, but it then melted at an extremely fast rate. The blazing heat and chilling cold took turns, making him withstand unspeakable discomfort. As time fleeted by, Yang Lu, who was standing on a very far spot, could no longer withstand the blazing heat waves and finally withdrew to a more distant spot in the back. Whereas Tang Xiu, who was climbing non-stop, almost reached the top. The higher he climbed, the faster the blazing heat and chilling cold took turns, and the more intense the sensation it brought. It was to the extent that the pressure was pressing him to fall. The pressure caused his bones to rattle, and his internal organs seemed to be squeezed into lumps of meat. Break and charge. The star force within Tang Xiu's body surged forward and circulated through the whole great heavenly circuit in his body's meridians. Just as he was about to reach his limits, he suddenly felt his body turn lighter, as his whole body finally rushed to the mountaintop. Drawing support from the inertia, he sprinted tens of meters upward. Bam! Tang Xiu's feet finally landed on the layer of ice above the mountaintop. After clearly seeing the scene in front him, he couldn't help but gasp despite once being a supreme immortal in the immortal world. The Yin-Yang Divinity Lake? How can there be a Yin-Yang Divinity Lake on Earth? The myriad records and ancient scriptures in the immortal world said that the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake will only appear when a supreme immortal breaks through to godhood so that they can bathe in the divinity lake. Once the immortal takes a bath therein, his body will then be transformed to that of the gods. In Tang Xiu's line of sight, the overcast gray substance vanished as the pocket world in front shined under the blue sky. In the center of the vast mountain, a large lake with the black and white pattern of yin-yang was formed. The mist lingered around above the lake, as a concentrated and strong special energy surged as though boiling water. I congratulate thou, mine successor. At the center of the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake, rosy clouds solidified and formed a humanoid old man. His appearance was clandestine and rays of light covered all over his body. It was also indiscernible if the form was wearing something or not. However, his voice was loud and clear, and each word seemed to directly enter Tang Xiu's heart. Who are you? Tang Xiu's expression was extra cautious as he stared at the old man and asked in a deep voice. The humanoid old man smiled and said, Fear not, mine successor. My name is Free and Unfettered God from the God's realm. Only, because of the obstruction of many gods to mine free and unfettered path, mine hath to ignite mine primordial life essence will out of desperation to move this divinity vein seed of the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake, and then broke through the barrier of the God's realm to arrive at the star of mine progenitor. Only, the progenitor star had undergone colossal changes, for it was no longer vast and magnificent. Under desperation, mine used the remnant of mine soul to condense this spirit humanoid magic tool, to perpetually guard this divinity vein seed of the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake hither. I know what the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake is. It's the divine lake where an immortal must take a bath to obtain a divinity physique before he ascends to the God's realm. But what does the divinity vein seed mean? Asked Tang Xiu in a deep voice. The humanoid old man said in an unusual tone, Thou knows the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake? It shall not be. Because formerly they were, for no immortals shalt emerge again from the progenitor star thenceforth, and there shalt be no one from the next offspring who hath profound abilities in the Tao. How did thou know the existence of the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake? Tang Xiu was silent for a moment before he replied with all seriousness, Because I was once a supreme immortal in the immortal world, but I returned to Earth after an accident. The humanoid old man suddenly understood as he laughed and said, Interesting. Thou art very interesting. If thou canst say sooth, then thou shalt understand that's easy for mine to descry thy soul. Mine legacy apparently shalt not be cut off. Just as his voice ended, Tang Xiu's body was grasped by a pair of invisible hands and pulled directly into the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake. As the black and white pattern boiled and rotated, Tang Xiu was straightly sucked inside. Arf. A rending, piercing pain, feeling that dying was better than living, caused Tang Xiu to be filled with desperation. Though he had experienced pain and hardship that made his mind and mental strength extremely firm and tough, yet at this time, the desire to die immediately rose up inside him. Huh? The heavenly art of cosmic genesis? Suddenly, the humanoid old man whispered to himself, and his blurred appearance became more vivid. His face was thin, looking handsome yet aged and complicatedly wrinkled at the same time, as he would appear to be particularly feel pain due to melting. Buzz. Tang Xiu was lifted and his body flew high over the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake. Successor, what art thou relationship with Mo Luo progenitor? Tang Xiu gasped for breath and panted heavily. He felt like he just came back to life after surviving a disaster and was full of happiness. At this time, however, his entire fate was under the control of the humanoid old man, and dared not delay replying, I don't know who this Mo Luo progenitor is. The humanoid old man seemed to ponder for a moment, as a regretful expression then appeared on his face. He shook his head and sighed, really a pity. 'Tis really unfortunate. Progenitor Mo Luo was the creator of the demon realm and the ancestor of tens of thousands of demons. A very gifted little chap, pity that thy Tao ability art is too shallow and limited. For thy comprehension and cultivation in the heavenly art of cosmic genesis be practically too shallow and pitiful. So shalt it be then. For thou art the predestined person brought by fate at the juncture of my forthcoming expiry to pass to eternity, then shalt good fortune be bestowed to thee. Twilight-colored rays of light entwined like a ribbon around Tang Xiu's body. The appearance of the humanoid old man turned blurry again as inextricable rays of light emitted out from him toward Tang Xiu, and entered his body. At this time, a burst of melting, crackling, and explosion sounds came out from Tang Xiu's body. His cultivation level was being aided and pulled through excessively to make unceasing breakthroughs. From the meridian transformation, marrow transformation, viscera transformation, all the way to the peak of the viscera transformation stage before it finally stopped. It was because his foundation was indeed too shallow and boosting himself up again would be too destructive. If he was to make a breakthrough again, then his body may not be able to withstand it. As of now, if someone could see the internal condition of Tang Xiu's body, he would see that all the meridians in his body had transformed and looked glittering and translucent as though it had turned into crystals, whereas the overall strength of his body had also increased by more 100-fold. Buzz. The humanoid old man waved his hands, and the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake underneath was directly taken by him. After forming a few hand seals, the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake quickly became smaller and smaller, eventually turning into a firefly-sized fluorescent orb, as it was then forced into Tang Xiu's body. Mine successor, the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake is mine legacy, thus I bestowed thee with this Yin-Yang Divinity Lake. Mine only cherished wish for thee, is to take mine path, walk the free and unfettered path. As his voice fell, the humanoid old man turned into twinkling rays of light and stars, as they gradually disappeared between the heaven and earth. A long period of time passed by. Finally, Tang Xiu awakened from the mysterious sensation, yet he could clearly remember all the sentences said by the old man before he dissipated. Especially his last sentence, walk the free and unfettered path. Tang Xiu's body had fallen to the bottom of the disappeared Yin-Yang Divinity Lake. As of now, he was in a half-squatted posture and stayed like that for a very long time. Finally, when Tang Xiu slowly raised his head and looked up at the blue sky, he let out a loud, crisp laughter. Such a colossal fortuitous encounter was beyond the sum of everything Tang Xiu had ever obtained in his 10,000 years, in the immortal world. He could clearly see the firefly-sized light in his dantian, and could see the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake residing in the space inside it. Not only was his body constantly being nourished by the liquid from the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake, it was also nourished and enhanced by the lights shrouded above the lake. Within just half a day, his cultivation level had faint signs of making another breakthrough. Suddenly, Tang Xiu's laugh came to an abrupt stop, his smile frozen. The black hole in his dantian suddenly sent out an insane sucking force and directly swallowed the yin-yang divinity lake. What the fuck? For half the day afterwards, angry curses and yelling came out from Tang Xiu's mouth.